Welcome to Success on LinkedIn. So, are you looking for the secrets of LinkedIn success? You are in the right place. Today, we are going to be talking about something that is going on that so many people can relate to, and that is the climate for careers, for looking for jobs has changed, and it has changed drastically. So, we will be hearing secret tips and tricks on how to get around that just from more than recruiter and an interview and actually getting hired. And that is what we will be talking about today. So, I'm excited to have you join us. And in just a moment, you will be hearing from our special guest. We will start the countdown. Hope you all enjoy that. I hit the button by mistake for a second there. So, welcome. We are so glad that you're here today. I am going to open up the chat for just a moment. And I see Yolanda Chin, Gabe, you made it today. The live streaming tornado. I was like going to tag you to be here. So awesome to see all the different people tuning in. So, let's see. And yes, we're going to be bringing Mary on shortly. And what I would love to hear is where you are tuning in from. Let us know where you are because people are from all around the world, which I just think is one of the coolest things. So let us know where you're tuning in from. And today, if you have questions, make sure to put them in the chat. So that is a little bit to start you guys off with. And I can't wait to tell you more about our special guest today. But first, what I would love to do is bring on our community manager, Max McKinley, who works with me at Only by Grace. And I didn't introduce myself. So if you don't know me yet, Ann Small, LinkedIn strategist specializing in media management. I help people actually get in front of clients, turn your content and comments into clients. So excited to be here. And let's bring our community manager on because we are trying a 30-minute show today for the first time versus an hour. So, Max, welcome. You want to tell everybody just a little bit about what you do and what you'll be doing today in the comments.
Hello, everyone. I work with Ann at Only by Grace as the community manager today. Also, a LinkedIn strategist, working with everyone that would like on their LinkedIn strategy and using Sales Navigator, among other things. And I'm excited about our um, meeting today. I'm looking really forward to hearing Mary.
Yes. So, Max, today we'll be looking for the top question, top comment that he will be picking out for a prize at the end. Do you want to let them know what the prize is?
Yeah, the prize today is a free session with me to look over your LinkedIn strategy and discuss how we might be able to work together.
Yep. So no matter what it is, it's strategy in general. Max has done project management, LinkedIn strategy, you name it, problems and solutions. You get a free time to talk with an expert and brainstorm. So anyway, we'll be looking for those comments and questions. Thank you so much, Max. We're going to let you go over to LinkedIn and start engaging in those comments. Thank you. Okay. Usually, I would not read a full bio for somebody, but our next guest is so fun. I had to read this fun bio. So bear with me. You'll really, really enjoy it. Okay. So, Mary Frame Brandt is the mastermind behind the 3C method. It is not your average career coach. She is the host of LinkedIn Local Phoenix, the charismatic face of her own live show, 15 Minutes of Fame, which, by the way, is where I met her. She knows how to grab your attention and deliver game changing insights. She is on a mission to help people harness the power of LinkedIn to connect, see, cultivate, and convert opportunities that are right there at your fingertips. Why LinkedIn? She says. Well, because that is where all the cool, savvy business professionals hang out these days. I would have to agree with you, Mary. And it just so happens to be Mary's favorite platform, too. So she has not only mastered and trained thousands of professionals on LinkedIn, but she is also a firm believer in giving back. And I love that about her, how much networking she does in the community. So, what she uses her time a lot on a regular basis, she has dedication to make a positive impact and is inspiring her career expertise. You will find out more about Mary. I mean, her reputation speaks for herself, but these days, a lot of her work is also on her podcast, which we will be dropping a link to. Okay. She is a force to be reckoned with, guys. And let's not forget, she gets clients who, they met before. So it just keeps going. It's a ripple effect. And with all of that said, I want to introduce you to today's LinkedIn expert, career coach extraordinaire, podcast amazing, Mary Fame Brandt.
Woohoo! Wow, thank you. And this is going to be great. And I love that you and I met on LinkedIn and we collaborate together. That's an opportunity, right? So
Absolutely.
we're all using LinkedIn for different things. And I think that it's important to understand all the opportunities that LinkedIn has in front of you besides just career opportunities.
Yeah. It was just once a business platform where people went to, go look for jobs. Now
Yeah.
it's turned into so much more. But one of the reasons we have you here today is because the climate for getting a job, the job climate has completely changed.
It has completely changed. And depending on your generation, and if you haven't looked for a job, let's say in the last 10 years, because I work with a lot of people, especially women, that's really my ideal client, and they haven't looked for a job in 10 years and something has happened, whether
Mhm.
they're an empty nester and it's like, hey, I'm finally going to do a job or find a job that it really fills my heart. The job market has changed so much in the last 10 years and in the last, let's say, 3 years. I mean, we have remote work. We've had remote work before, but the pandemic really put that into play, put that into motion. And career professionals are like, no, I want to work remote. And they're putting their foot down. I have a lot of colleagues and friends that are like, I only want to work remote for a lot of different reasons.
Right.
And so we've seen this change in the career roadmap, the career platform, career steps. And I think that it's something that we can really dive into and hopefully answer some questions from the audience today.
Yes. So, one of our challenges for today, everybody, is build your network on LinkedIn. And if you can, before you even need it. So, what you want to do today is connect with at least 3 people in the comments. That will help you build your network because everybody on this LinkedIn Live is already someone active on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Also, if you know somebody that's open to work or in a situation where they're looking to uplevel their career, whatever it may be, tag them and bring them in or let them know what's going on because Mary's going to give us some golden tips right now.
Yeah,
I
well, that was a great tip. Number one is build your network on LinkedIn before you need it. So many times a client comes to me and we're building their profile from the ground up, which is fine, but I can fix a profile, but I can't fix your network. That's something that you have to do. So if you're in a job right now and you're like, I'm good, Mayor, I'm good, Ann, I've got a great job, I'm going to retire from this, I'm here to tell you, probably not true. You need to build your network and keep building it, because the average length of a job, Ann, is about 3 years. 3 years.
Wow.
That's because of contract work, consultant work, the gig economy, and because of how fast-paced the careers are changing. It's no longer the era of working for a company for 20 years and getting a pension and retiring. Those days are pretty much gone. There are still a few of those, like the county or city, right? But if you're not in that arena, you're going to be changing jobs about every 3 years to keep moving up the career ladder.
Okay. So I have a question based off of what you just said.
Okay.
How do you feel then about people needing a second income stream with what you just said, like something that they do on the side as far as contracting or whatever? Is
Yeah.
that necessary?
Yes and no. I mean, there was a poll, and I don't have the statistics, but I think it's like 40% of Americans have a side hustle. 35 to 40% of Americans have a side hustle. I'm one of those people. When I worked corporate, I had side hustles. I worked at a private school, but I also did proctoring for exams. I did some tutoring on the side, right? I had other things that I did. I also had an exchange student for a few years. I had different exchange students because it was income and it was fun. I got to meet people from all over the world. So, do we need a side hustle today? Let's ask our audience, how many people have a side hustle or have been thinking about a side hustle? There is
Yeah.
no shame in it.
Max, please drop that in the comments for everybody. Because personally, for me, I've always had to have more than one thing. I just didn't want to ever be in a position that if
Right?
something changed, I'd be totally stuck.
Well, also think about it. If you have a side hustle, what if you really enjoy that and turn that into your full fledged business? True story. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Okay, folks, this was not my dream. My dad had his own business, appraisal business back in the day. I saw him struggle. When it was good, it was great. And when it wasn't good, it sucked. Right? It was just
True.
like we're feast or famine. And I saw this and I was like, oh no, entrepreneurship is not for me. I worked for him for a short period of time, and he always thought I would take over the business. And I was like, oh no, I like the 9 to 5. I know what I'm going to make. I have my hours. I get vacation time. Well, fast forward, how did I become an entrepreneur? My mom got sick, and I needed and wanted to be there for her as she got Alzheimer's. And my 9 to 5, well, it was 7 to 4 job at a private school, just wasn't going to work. Just wasn't going to work anymore. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I love connecting with people. I'm a strategist, I'm a planner, and I started planning, how was I going to manage my own career? And I went to Lee Hecht Harrison. It's one of these premier outsourcing placement services. And I'm just going to say it was antiquated. I was like, I was like, transparencies. I'm like, digitizing the world, right? Like things were just so antiquated, and their strategy to me wasn't deep enough. It was very surface. And I was like, I can do this better. And that is how I became a career coach and LinkedIn strategist. I dove into career coaching, and then I was like, 2016, how come entrepreneurs are not using LinkedIn? Because when I started using LinkedIn, it wasn't where the cool kids hung out.
Right.
The ugly duckling. It wasn't user friendly, but aha, it's turned into a beautiful swan with lots of features and new functions. So
That's
that's
so funny.
the snapshot. That is my journey. So going back to the gig economy, I think most people do have some kind of side hustle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was surprised that the percentage was so low when you said that, because it seems to me like everybody I know.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. I did just look it up and I didn't get it. But even as a business owner, I mean, we've talked about this. I have a contract gig, right? That is I've had a contract for over a year with a company in South Africa, and it's a chunk of my business. And then I have my business right?
Yes.
My career coaching and LinkedIn strategy. And then
Yeah.
I'm adding another revenue stream at the end of the year.
Yeah. So I was just curious how that works. Like for me, for over 5 years now, I've been working with FranNet with different locations. Shout out
Yeah.
to Sarah Waskow and
Yay,
Roxanne
Sarah.
Rapsky if you want
Yeah.
to tag them, Max. But where I live in DFW in Texas, they have taught me so much about entrepreneurship, and I had started with them like 5 years ago. So my main job is doing media management for a whole bunch of different FranNet locations that need
Oh,
strategy and need
yeah.
their media rolled out. And it's just something I've been doing for so long. I absolutely love it. And at the same time, like you, helping other people find the solutions to their problems so they can succeed on
Yeah.
LinkedIn and with their business in general. I want to ask you, so you talked a little bit about it, but if there's anything to add here about how things have changed in the job market from
Oh,
before to now. I know this is gonna be hard to we might go over everybody, but what are the big differences that you're seeing that we
hmm.
need to know about?
Okay, so the big differences of applying to a job 10 or even 5 years ago. Number 1, your resume has to be tailored to each position that you submit it to. So, create a master resume, and then you're going to have to make a copy of that and update it.
Man.
You're going to want to pick the things from the job description, the job posting, and make sure that you identify each skill set that they're looking for. So I had a client a few years ago, and she did like project management, but she started applying for jobs outside of that, like event planner and just anything. She was throwing what I call spaghetti at the wall, hoping something would stick. So that doesn't work nowadays. Back in the days, people wanted to hire a jack of all trades. In my early career, like you wanted to be say that you could do 10 things. Well, nowadays, people want to know that you do one thing and you do it really well, right? And so you have to tailor your resume, and it's a pain, and most people don't want to do it. And what happens is there are two piles of resumes, you guys. Ready? There's the short stack and the big stack. You want to be in the short stack. So through the ATS, applicant tracking system, resumes get put into one of two piles. The big pile is we're not even going to look at them. They don't make it through the ATS as a potential candidate. The short pile are the ones that have the right keywords for the job posting. So if
Mm,
you do not tailor your resume, you're going to go into the big pile. The short pile is the one that gets a human touch. Someone's going to go through those and set up the interviews. So tailor your resume to each position that you apply for, and make sure that you're looking at that job description, that job posting, and you're pulling the keywords, and just use that. With they say data analytics, you want to use the same words. Even if it's called something else, you want to use the words that they use on their job posting. So that's one.
okay.
The second thing that has changed is the interviews. I mean, this is going to get a lot of people hot, right? The interview, it used to be you go on one interview, maybe two,
Mhm.
and you find out in a couple weeks.
Right?
Those days are pretty much gone. The interview process is very complicated, and I know a lot of people are in an uproar about it, but we're not the ones creating that process. It's the companies, the recruiters, right? So we can't do anything about it. The interview process has become multiple interviews, maybe happening over a month. So I know just for myself, as an executive assistant for a private school, I went on 3 interviews. For an executive, I had my initial interview, then I had the interview with the wife of the head of school, because I was going to be working with her, and then I had a panel interview with 5 people for an executive assistant position, and this was in 2009.
We just put hold on one second because I wanted to ask you this one right here. Um,
Okay.
this question fits right into what you're saying about resumes. Tailoring a resume is not difficult. What's difficult is finding misinformation about keyword stuffing and the ATS. Can you tell us
Keyword
about finding the
stuffing.
right keywords and using AI and all that great stuff? I mean, I know you know a lot about that subject.
I love AI. I'm a big proponent of it, but you can't trust what it's spitting out. It is still AI, and you need to put your eyes on it. So, resume, the keywords, you still gonna get those from the job position, the description, the company page. That is where you're gonna get your information versus AI. AI can help you can kind of like fluff it up, can rewrite it. Maybe it can help you put your thoughts together, but you're definitely just the job postings, the job descriptions have the right words, you guys.
Okay. I mean, that makes total sense. And that answers your question. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I don't want to like butcher it, but thank you so much. I think it's Imo. Thank you. And we have people turning in all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. It's so
And
exciting
I
to
saw
see.
David Cause was
Yep.
on. Hi, David.
Hi, David. We have some regulars, David, Jennifer, Yolanda, and Mike Arnold. Thanks for being here today. Patty, so
Wow.
glad. Appreciate you guys. I don't know if you know Patty Lane Faber. She's an amazing photographer,
I
but
do, I think. Yeah,
yeah.
so your resume, that's like the foundation,
Hmm.
resume. How the job market has changed. It's still about networking. I think networking has always been part of the path of getting a job, but I think today you can do that online and people miss those opportunities. So if you don't have a strong network built on LinkedIn now, it's not going to help you when you need it. So build it before you need it. Start connecting with amazing people on LinkedIn. Drop in the comments, like comment on, your name and title show up every time you comment on LinkedIn. So after you comment, that's the opportunity to send them a DM on LinkedIn and get connected, right? So they're going to be, and just commented on a piece of content and just
Yeah.
commented on a live show. Look, she's in my DMs. It's like top of mind, tip of tongue. So definitely,
There's so many different ways, but one thing like you're saying, you can post valuable content say once a week. You don't have to spend a ton of
yeah,
time doing that. But when you go comment on other people's, content in your community, or especially like under companies that you specifically want to work for and things like that, that's going to make a difference. Those are the people you really want to get to know and
bingo.
build a relationship with, because you're not going to be forgotten. You're looking to say get a job at CG Infinity, and you get to know a couple of those employees real well, especially hiring managers, and you're commenting on their content and building a relationship.
Yeah.
Networking
So,
online, but you brought up networking in person, and you're
uh,
doing LinkedIn locals, right?
yes, I am. But real fast, you mentioned company page. Are you following the companies on LinkedIn that you hope to work for one day, would like to work for one day? You need to follow the company. You need to follow the people that work there. You need to comment on their content. That is networking, nurturing your networking. So, my whole 3C method: connect, cultivate, and convert into an opportunity. So, networking in person is valuable too. It's back, you guys. So, find some local networking gigs and go to those, some local networking events. And I don't care if there's 5 people there or 50, you go in with an intention. Set your intention on your networking. Who are the 3 people I want to meet? And for
Yeah.
me, it looks like this: someone that I can help, someone that would hire me, someone that can introduce me to someone that I want to know, or like an organization. So I'm looking to be introduced to like colleges, career centers, right? So be intentional. So we
Yeah.
covered resumes. We talked about networking, because online, and in person. Um, what the other thing
Creating
is that,
your own personal brand. We brought that up.
uh,
Why would somebody need to create their own personal brand? Career professionals. Why would they need to do that?
yeah, so I'm a big proponent of everyone needs a personal brand in 2023. After the pandemic, we were all online. The people that had created a personal brand, they already had a reputation for what they did. So if you want to break down personal branding, I'm going to make it really simple. It's your reputation, what you believe in, what you bring to the table, how you bring it to the table. Okay, so creating your personal brand. Why do I need that as a career professional? I'm not Nike or Tiffany's or Target. No, but you are unique. And it helps you stand out. Recruiters and talent managers can tell when someone has defined and created their personal brand versus someone who hasn't.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
there's some simple exercises. What are you known for? Here's an exercise for all the career professionals in the audience. Text or email 10 people. You should be colleagues, past coworkers, family, and friends. Okay. And then ask them to give you 3 words that they think of when you walk in the room or when someone mentions your name. This is how other people see you.
Yep.
Does line up with who you are. It did
Yep.
for me because I've been working on my personal brand forever. But when I did this exercises years ago, I'm a connector, I'm joyful, I'm energetic. Those words, that's part of my personal branding. Add coffee to that, and you've got my personal brand in the snapshot.
So, okay, I know this is going really fast. I want to remind everybody, put your questions or any kind of valuable tip here because Max is looking for the best one. And in a few minutes, we're going to be picking one out for a prize.
We've
I
got a
know we're
few.
going to go a
We
little
can
over.
go a little over.
Yes, we have to because it's
I
not going
know.
to be near
I
done.
could talk about this forever. We're just in the middle of a lot over here at MFB Consulting and Coaching. One mistake that people make is just applying, to everything. That strategy doesn't work anymore. You need to be more specific. You need to have your target companies. So when I work with someone, I'm like, what are your 5 companies? That's all you get. What are your 5 companies? What are the 5 titles that you're aiming for? And then I break that down. They get to come to me with 5, but we don't end that. You go down to 3. You need to have a strategy. You need to be clear and concise. What are the 3 companies that I'm going to work for? For example, a personal story. Moving to Arizona from California, my husband wanted to work at Amazon. He had one company he wanted to work for, Amazon. He connected with people on LinkedIn that worked at Amazon. He didn't ask for a position or an interview. He asked to learn about the culture. Could they jump on a coffee call with him? And he did get someone that explained the hiring process.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's great.
And so he got the job here at the new plant with the robotics here in Arizona. Their hiring process is very different. So ask people on LinkedIn who work at a company, what is the hiring process for that company? Because it's different for every company. His took it was quick. It was like a month in and out. There's a phone interview. There's no video interview. It's a phone interview with one person, and then you wait for the offer letter. Speaking of offer letters, can I jump in? Okay. So you've had a great interview. They gave you that verbal offer. You don't stop your job search until you have the written offer signed and dated. You just don't, you guys. So I know most of you probably know that, but you don't want to announce it to the world. You don't want to give up your job search. I want you to keep interviewing, even if you got the verbal offer.
Yes. And we have a question here, and I have a question for you. Can you please give any tips on how to handle looking for a job with a company while you also have your free business, your freelance business as well?
Your freelance business. And a lot of people have a freelance business, and that's perfectly acceptable these days. That's not a negative thing. I think in the past, maybe people would be like, oh, well, are they going to, pursue their own business? Or are they going to look for this company? So it's how you position yourself on LinkedIn, right? Are you writing content are you posting content about what you do in the corporate arena? So without knowing what you do and who you are, I can't give specific industry tips, but you still want to position yourself as the person that has something to contribute to that corporate business. And you still want to connect with people at that company. You don't want to highlight your freelance gig, right? So it's that balancing act.
Yep. I agree. And you can do both. That was a great question though, Frances. And one of the biggest things I want to ask you, Mary, because this is what I've been seeing. Okay, so there's people that have gotten down their interview techniques and they're even doing resumes and taking the time out to make them specific with the keywords. And then they're meeting recruiters and they're having interviews all the time, and months are going by. They're not actually getting hired. How do you get through that? What is that?
So unfortunately, you can't go back to the person that interviewed you and ask you what went wrong, because they're not going to tell you because they've been sued. We no longer can get feedback on how we did in the interview We used to, but nowadays no one's going to give you any feedback because they're afraid of getting sued. So what I would suggest for that person is hire an interview coach and find out how you're doing in the interview. You can ask, did you hire internally? I think a lot of companies, they have to put the job posting out to the world because that's in the rules within the court. You have to advertise, but they're going to hire internally. So in the interview, are you asking the right questions? Why is this position open? Is it new or is someone leaving? Are you looking at internal candidates? Ask that question, because if they say yes, I'm going to say keep interviewing. A lot of times they're going to go with the internal candidate. It depends on the organization, how long they've been around, what their hiring practices, but you really need to ask those questions in the interview, and you need to ask other people that work there what the culture is like.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that now we have to actually ask recruiters, which is a whole thing in itself. So, and if you're asking questions in the comments now and we haven't answered it yet, we're going to be going back after the show and replying to everybody, just so you know that
Ooh,
no one's going
I
to be
like
left
this
out.
one. How do you search for your ideal network on LinkedIn?
Yes.
I think that's pretty easy to do. But again, Ann and I are on LinkedIn all the time. Start following people on LinkedIn that, are intriguing, that you can learn from. You never know where that person's going to be in a year or two that could actually help you get a job. Ring the bell on people's content. Start commenting. It's about being engaging on LinkedIn. You can do searches. I mean, when you say your ideal network on LinkedIn, again, who are you looking to rub elbows with is what I
Right.
like to say. Are you looking for maybe you're in the creative field, so maybe you're looking to rub elbows with content creators, people that do video, people that do PR. Search for those people on LinkedIn and then follow them, ring their bell, comment on their content, and then send them a DM. Don't drop in their DMs without telling them why. If someone just sends me a connection request, I typically don't reply to it.
Building your network is interesting because there's a couple parts to it. One, you want to have a community of people that support you. You might have
Yeah.
the same values in common, but it's a community, which means you have something in common with them. So they are people that want to support you. You want to support them, and you're commenting and engaging, and people are seeing you, so you're more visible. And that these comments that are going by are people that usually, whether it's getting a job or getting a client, that reach out. So that is necessary. But at the same time, you need to make sure you're in front of potential clients, like following a company that needs what you do
Yeah.
or where you're looking to work. So it's a combination of your community that supports you and being in front of people that need your products and services. It takes time to feel it out. But if you
I,
know how
yeah.
much time you have to put aside, you can plan that a little bit. And you can reach out to Mary or me and find out more about LinkedIn strategy. But there's definitely a strategy behind building a network that works.
I always say build a strong and strategic network, one that supports you today and in the future. So
Mm-hmm.
you should always be growing your network every week. You should be adding new connections. You should see what's out there, who's intriguing to you that you can collaborate with, that you can learn from, or that you can mentor. Who are the companies and the people that you look up to,
Right.
that you would like to work at in the future? Start building your network with people that work at that company. Build your network with people that used to work at that company. Do some searches on LinkedIn and start connecting with them. It does take time, but it is so worth it. I love my LinkedIn network. I have people from all over the world,
Yeah.
all, from beginning careers to retired, to entrepreneurs, to agency owners, to corporate gurus. And that well rounded network really supports me in different areas of my life, not just as an entrepreneur. Um, But, as a career coach or as a podcast host now, like that's a new journey for me and my co-host Laura Bayshore. Shout out to Laura.
Yeah, Laura's the
And
best.
so
It's
I'm
exciting.
connected with like podcast hosts because I wanted to learn about that. People put out a lot of free content, you guys. You need to gobble that up, look at it, and then find the people that you can relate to the best, that resonates with you, and then send those connection requests out.
Yeah. Building your connections and your network through the comments and talking to people way before you send a message, like Mary was saying, is the way to go. That's building trust, because trust really is at the core of everything that we're doing right here. Whether it's
Yeah.
getting a job or building your brand, you have to have relationships built. Mary, I wanted to ask you, as we're getting to the end here, how exactly do you help people the most? Is it like more of finding a job, leveling up your career, LinkedIn?
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh.
Should we reach out
Yes,
to you?
yes, and yes. So I love helping people really take a deep dive in their career. So there's a couple different ways. Like, hey, I think I want to do something different. Then we do some intensive exercises of thinking about what your skill set is and what are other opportunities out there. My strength, like yours, Anne, is really polishing up that profile, LinkedIn revamp, so that we highlight your top skills and we position you as the expert you are in the industry, and then teach you how to connect with the right people and how to get in front of recruiters and talent managers. There's a process and a strategy to all that. So why everyone needs to be the CEO of your career. That's the title of the show here.
Yes.
Why do you need to be the CEO of career? Because you have your best interests at heart. A company doesn't. And as I said earlier, you can expect to change jobs about every 3.5 years. That is totally acceptable these days. And it is, by the way, how you're going to make more money and get a new title. Gone are the days where you stay at a company and you move up, you get the title you want, and you keep getting raises. The best way to get that raise and promotion is to leave your company after 3 years.
Wow. That's really interesting. I've never been more glad to own my own businesses than I am this year, is all that I can tell you. It's like, thank you,
Right?
God.
Yeah, so a lot has changed, and you know what? We have to wrap our head around that changes, and we have to adapt as the market has changed. If you think your old strategies are going to work, I'm here to tell you they're not. I worked with someone um, who wasn't used to interviews on Zoom.
Mhm.
So if you're camera shy, I'm here to tell you, you better practice. Write out your script, do the camera interview. She had a hard time because there was no one on the other side of the camera also. So there are interviews out there where there are questions and you just say your answers on Zoom, but there's no one else over there, or not even on Zoom. It's on a different platform. So you need to understand the hiring process,
Totally
the
different.
interview process, and be ready to speak to a camera with no one else there. And you need to not sound flat.
Right.
You need to pretend like I said, put a picture of someone by your camera and pretend you're talking to that person.
Oh,
I
what a
want
great
you to
idea.
I want you to bring your excitement, like, hey, hi, Tony. I'm so excited to be here interviewing today. Let's dive right into the questions. And you're just going to read your answers off. It's really about research and preparation.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. It was the title of the show. So what does that mean? And so two things: the best way to contact you, and then some of the things that you have going on that we can plug into now. And I know Max will drop the links.
So being the CEO of your career means that you are taking control of your career. You're not waiting for the company or your manager to promote you or create a road plan. That is not their job. It is your job to own your career and decide where you want to be and how you're going to get there. And sometimes you might need to work with a coach to lay that all out. That is something that I help with. I help position people on LinkedIn as the experts that they are. How to connect with me: you can message me, you can connect with me here on LinkedIn. You do need my email, so if you guys can drop my email, hello@marythanebrant.com.
Yeah.
And what do I have going on? Well, our new podcast that launched in June, it is Redefine Your Career Journey. So we are empowering people on how to be the CEO of your career, and we have episodes like how to answer those tricky interview questions, what personal branding is for the job seeker. We have, I think, 20 episodes out. So that's a free, podcast. Listen to our podcast. A new episode drops every Monday. Also, I have LinkedIn Local Phoenix, my online event where we take our online connections and get offline to meet people, have meaningful conversations, and take a lot of selfies and have fun. So
We'll
that
make
is,
sure.
yeah, that's October 17th at the Desert Diamond Arena. So if you're here in Arizona, hey, let me know. I'm really still working on building the local network here. We usually have about 60 savvy business professionals, and we have lots of raffle prizes. And then finally, I have my summer special right now. So I'm just going to put it out there. I have like 3 spots left. It's $500. We meet, I write your profile for you, create a banner, do your headline, do all kinds of fun stuff, and get it done. So it's a summer special. That's normally not the price. To work with me long term, there's a bigger package. But this is the let's get it done.
Okay, so guys, Max will be putting all these links in the comments, but while the show is running, you can't click on it. Please go back in afterwards because we're going to put all of these links and stuff in again so you can just click on it. And if you're watching the replay, you can even just say team replay because it helps us know. And Mary, this was all super helpful because things have changed so much. And I know that people can reach out to you for a
I'm here to help
combination.
people, like, really, because I was at that point where I thought that I was going to retire from that private school in La Jolla, California. And that changed, and it ruptured my world for a lot of different reasons. And I didn't know what I didn't know then. And I thought things would, I was highly skilled. It'd be easy to get a job. Well, that didn't work out for me. I needed to start my own company. But I went through the process of what does that look like to find a job at a different age in a different world with different resources. LinkedIn wasn't around before I had that job of an executive assistant.
Right. Yeah. Well, everything was very helpful because it's just changed a lot. And I'm glad that we can reach out to you. And if anyone knows someone that's really fantastic with resumes and everything was Mary was talking about, please drop their names in the comments. Anything that's going to help, like we can help each other out with that she talked about, let us know and reach out to Mary. Max, I'm going to bring you on to find out who had the question of the day. And that will be for just a free session with Max to go over whatever the problems you're having with your business. So let's bring him in. Thank you, Max.
Hey.
Who is it? Drum roll.
Well, I liked Francis de Guzman's question today. Can you please give any tips on how to handle looking for a job with a company while maintaining a freelance business as well?
That's a good one. I think a lot of people are probably in that predicament. How do I position myself as the ideal candidate while I still have my freelance business?
It was a great question. So congratulations, Francis, because you can message Max, please, and you guys will set up a time that you can talk about whatever's going on with your company. Whether, matter is solutions to problems, and the two of you will get to network and work it out. So that's what we do here.
I love it. This has been great. We could do part 2 maybe.
There's so much more detail because I know from talking to people that have worked so hard, what they've gone through with months of interviewing and still not being hired. And just the questions you brought up to go ask the recruiter are so helpful.
Yeah, I think that we have to be more proactive and more initiative from the job seeker, asking those questions from day one, not waiting. And I think in the past it was like, oh, we don't want to ask those questions. You want to wait and see. I want to seem pushy. Well, you're not going to seem pushy. You're going to seem like someone who's in control and understands that these are the questions you need to understand the hiring process, the interview process. When do you expect this position to be filled? When will you contact me? In 2 days, 1 week? You have to ask those questions. Take control, you guys.
We have to be the CEO of our own career. It was great advice. because we're looking out for our own best interest. In 3 years, I'm going to need to sit on that one for a while. That just is mind blowing
That
to
is
me.
a statistic from Manpower. One of
Wow.
the biggest, yeah. So, and to be honest, it was 3.5 years in 2015.
Wow.
So, and because of consulting work, contract work, the gig economy, and the pandemic, that number just keeps going down. And it is how you get a promotion and a raise. You leave I mean, I'm not saying that to tell everyone to leave their company, but there is more opportunity after that 3-year mark. Typically, if you go and get a different job,
That's another new thing for me. I did
You're
not
gonna-
know that.
Yeah, the percentage, I actually wrote that somewhere, probably in one of my newsletter. I think that you'll get a 10%, the average is like a 10% pay increase.
What was said here about needing more help with asking the right questions is so true. So many people want a part 2. So if you want a part 2, please, even if this is over, we're going back into the replay. Put questions that you would want addressed in part 2 so we can be extremely specific with the answers and make sure that you get everything that you need to hear. And I agree with what you're saying, Amo. Recruiters are helpful in many ways, but HR, the hiring managers, do make the final decisions. So knowing when they're hiring is key. Any way you can get that out there is it's super important. One reason I wanted to do this today, and not only is Mary amazing, and by the way, she put down who does her resumes is there. So
yeah, the co-host of the podcast. She's actually, you guys, I don't just recommend her. She wrote my husband's resume and my resume.
Laura's phenomenal. So that's down there. There's lots. This is free resources for everybody, but we'll be looking for anything you want in a part 2. And again, the reason that I wanted to do this today is to let people know that I've been interviewing for a long time and have redid their resumes and learned as much as they could and different things. The changes that have come up that they may not know about, so that they realize it's not you. It's not that like something is wrong with you if you've been looking for a job for months and you're interviewing and haven't found one. That's the big statement I want to leave with people today.
I do want to say, if you've been applying, let's say for 6 months and you don't have a job, there's a couple things. If you've gotten the interview and you're not getting the job, hire someone to do interview coaching with you. Let's make sure it's not there. And if you're getting the interview, you're applying to the right job. If you're applying to jobs and it's just crickets, you're not getting interviews, is it your resume, or are you applying to the right jobs? Are you applying to the right jobs, to the right titles at the right level?
Okay.
That's something you got to think about. I'm not saying that you're not.
Do you do the interview coaching? Is that something you provide?
Laura does the interview coaching. So we have a team. We collaborate together. So Laura and I actually have a joint package for our podcast listeners. So I can offer that to your listeners as well.
Please.
So we each have our niches, like personal branding, LinkedIn, networking. All of that is what I love to work on with my clients. I do all the heavy lifting, and then Laura does the resume revamp and interview coaching.
Okay.
So I do the base work, right? We've got to get all this stuff down. So I understand what their strengths are. What are they looking for? Create the personal branding and the LinkedIn revamp. Then Laura takes over and she creates an amazing resume. She has spoken at the certified resume writers. She has presented there, and then she does the interview coaching. And again, you guys, she's amazing. I hired her to coach my husband on interviews.
Yeah, I mean, that says a lot. When I always ask people, so if this was you, who would you use personally for?
Laura.
Because that's what speaks volumes. Mary, my last question for you is, so your podcast, I'm sure you're on many channels. Do you have a YouTube channel too?
We are on all the podcast platforms, all of them. We are starting our YouTube channel. We are recording video, but we haven't put that up yet, I don't believe. So
okay.
We're just a few months into it, but we've got like 20 episodes, and we actually just recorded some with a recruiter, and we have a couple more recruiters coming up that we're going to be interviewing. So get inside the recruiter's head. What are they looking for?
Yeah.
There are a couple older episodes that with Nick Morrison. Who was it? two gentlemen, Nick Morrison and someone, where we had them both on, and they're we're asking, what are you looking for? What do you like? What do you don't like? Because at the end of the day, even with all the automation, there are human eyes on your resume. There are humans setting up those interviews. So we have to understand, what does the human want?
Yes, super helpful. And I just wanted to check because I'm on YouTube working a lot. So it's easy
Yeah,
for me to.
that's the next piece of our the next piece of the podcast journey, getting all of that activated and set up. We are recording, but I don't believe we've set those up yet.
So, everyone, I see Patty and Francis going back and forth helping each other. I love seeing that in the comments. And Patty, what society has become, what I try to remind myself that I'm going to say this saying, I hate this saying though, like if you can't find a kind person, be one. But it's kind of like each one of us, it's an inside job. It's got to make the most,
Yeah.
because we can all make a difference one person at a time. And it sounds like all rah, rah, peppy,
No.
but we kind of have to do it. So, information is key, awareness is key, and then we take what we have and make the most out of it and go, like as Fanny would say, shine your light.
That's why I love working with you, Anne, because you are such this positive, sharing, caring, positive energy and light to the world. Like, you're always giving. And when you ask me, could I do this? Do I want to? I mean, yes. When is it? Sign me up, because I want to serve you and the community. I'm really here to educate and inspire others of how to have a great career, how to manage your career, and how to take the initiative so that you can manage your career, because we work a lot of hours. We need to enjoy
Yes.
the work that we do.
Yeah. Well, I love working with you too. We're givers. We love our community. I hope everyone found lots of value today. And please reach out to each of us. We'll be going back into that replay, and know that you are appreciated. Thank you so much,
Bye.
guys.